The twin suns hung low in the pale orange sky, burning weakly over the dying land. The wind whispered across the cracked ground, carrying dust and silence. Nothing moved, nothing lived, except for two sisters. Lyra stumbled forward, holding her little sister close to her chest. The child's skin glowed faintly under the sunlight, pale lavender, soft and fragile, almost translucent. Her name was Ari, and she hadn't eaten in 3 days. Lyra's arms trembled as she carried her. Every breath felt heavy. The air was dry, the heat endless. The old farmlands were nothing but empty dirt now, withered vines clinging to lifeless soil. "Just a little farther," Lyra whispered, her voice shaking. "We'll find something." Ari didn't answer. Her head rested weakly on Lyra's shoulder. The child's small fingers barely moved, only tightening slightly around the broken seed she carried in her palm, a seed their mother had once given them. Lyra's eyes burned with tears she didn't have the strength to shed. The world had taken everything from them, their family, their home, their people. The last ship had left months ago, taking the stronger ones to another planet. The sisters were left behind with the weak, the forgotten, and the dying. She remembered her mother's last words. "Protect your sister. She is more than she appears." Lyra didn't understand what that meant. Not then, not now. All she knew was that Ari was her world. The two reached the edge of an old greenhouse, its glass walls cracked and half buried in dust. Inside, faint green light shimmered, plants. Real ones. Lyra's heart leaped. "Ari, look." She set her sister down carefully and pushed open the broken door. The air inside was cooler, still carrying a faint scent of life. She could see small fruits growing from twisted vines, yellow, glowing softly. She reached for one and pulled it free. Her hands shook as she brought it to Ari. "Eat," Lyra said softly. "You need this more than I do." Ari looked at her weakly, her voice no more than a whisper. "You haven't eaten either." Lyra smiled faintly. "I'm fine." She wasn't. Her stomach ached. Her lips were dry and cracked. But seeing her sister's eyes open again, even a little, made it worth it. Ari took a small bite. Juice glowed faintly against her lips. For a moment, her cheeks regained a trace of color. But then a sound echoed outside, a low hum, deep and mechanical. Lyra froze. She turned toward the door, her instinct sharp. Through the dust and sunlight, she saw a shape approaching, tall, metallic, walking slowly on heavy legs. A human machine. Her heart pounded. The humans had left their machines to guard what remained, scavenger drones that collected whatever could still be used. They didn't care who they hurt. To them, aliens were nothing but leftover mistakes from a failed colony. The machine stopped outside the greenhouse, scanning the air with glowing blue sensors. Lyra grabbed Ari's hand and pulled her behind the fallen crates. The child's breathing was soft but unsteady. Lyra pressed a finger to her lips, silently begging her to stay quiet. The drone steps grew louder. The ground trembled with each metallic stomp. Dust fell from the broken beams above. Lyra's eyes darted to the pile of glowing fruit, exposed. The machine's sensor turned toward it. She clenched her jaw. If the drone scanned the fruit, it would mark the area for collection. The next patrol would burn everything, including them. She had two choices: hide and watch the only food they found be destroyed, or risk herself to protect it. Ari's voice trembled behind her. "Lyra, don't." Lyra looked at her little sister, her small, frightened eyes, and smiled sadly. "Close your eyes, little star." Then she stood up. The sunlight caught her face as she stepped into the open. Her long hair blew across her shoulders, silver strands shining like threads of glass. The drone's blue sensor turned toward her instantly, scanning her with cold precision. "Identify. Species, and no inhuman," it said in a flat voice. "Biological threat detected." Lyra raised her hand slowly. "Please, we're not a threat. We just need food." The machine ignored her words. Its weapon core began to charge, glowing faintly red. Behind her, Ari gasped. "No!" Lyra turned her head slightly, her expression soft and full of love. "Don't move, Ari." A moment later, the machine fired. A pulse of light struck the ground near her feet, throwing up a cloud of dust. Lyra fell but scrambled back up, shielding her face. She wasn't going to run, not yet, not until she knew Ari was safe. She grabbed the remaining fruit and hurled it through the broken door, deeper into the greenhouse, out of the machine's reach. "Ari, stay down," she shouted. The drone turned toward her again, aiming higher this time. Its sensor glowed brighter. Lyra's heart raced. She was out of time. Then something unexpected happened. A faint, soft blue light began to glow behind her, around Ari. The child was standing now, her eyes wide open, glowing with an unnatural brightness. The broken seed in her hand pulsed with the same light. The air shimmered around her like heat. Lyra turned and froze. "Ari, what are you doing?" she whispered. The light grew stronger, surrounding them both. The machine stopped scanning. Its systems began to flicker. Then, for the first time in days, Lyra heard something new, the faint sound of leaves rustling. The dying vines around them began to move. Ari looked at her sister, tears in her glowing eyes. "I can make it grow, but it hurts." Lyra stared in disbelief as the plants came to life, stretching upward toward the sunlight. Fruits grew instantly, bursting with color, the air filled with warmth and scent, life reborn. But Ari's knees gave way. Lyra ran to catch her. "No, don't do this. Stop." Ari smiled weakly. "You said you were fine. Now I am too." Her body trembled in Lyra's arms, the light fading slowly from her skin. Outside, the machine powered down and collapsed, its systems fried by the energy pulse. Inside the greenhouse, surrounded by new life, Lyra held her sister tightly, whispering through tears, "Stay with me, please." The twin suns shone brightly through the cracked glass, illuminating the sisters. One fading, one refusing to let go, in a world that had just begun to breathe again. The greenhouse was silent again. Only the soft hum of life filled the air. The gentle rustle of green leaves, the faint drip of water from newly formed fruit. But Lyra didn't notice any of it. She was holding her sister close, feeling the child's weak heartbeat under her palms. Ari's skin had lost its glow. Her breathing was shallow. The light that saved them had also drained her strength. Lyra whispered softly, her voice breaking, "Ari, can you hear me?" Ari's lips moved faintly. "Did it work?" she asked, barely audible. "Yes," Lyra said, tears sliding down her cheeks. "It worked. You made the world breathe again." The child smiled weakly. "Then it's okay." Her small hand went limp. Lyra froze. Her heart seemed to stop. She shook her sister gently. "No. Ari, please. Wake up." But the girl didn't move. The quiet around them grew unbearable. The sound of wind, the shifting light. Even the beating of Lyra's heart felt distant. She pressed her forehead against her sister's and let out a broken sob. For the first time in her life, she felt truly alone. Minutes passed, then hours. Lyra didn't leave her sister's side. She stayed on the dirt floor, surrounded by the growing vines and glowing fruit, the air now rich with oxygen. The world seemed alive again, yet she felt dead inside. She didn't notice the faint blinking light outside the greenhouse, a red sensor flickering from the fallen human drone. Its systems weren't fully offline. The energy pulse from Ari had damaged it, yes, but not destroyed it completely. It was still transmitting data, still sending a signal. Far away, across the desert wastelands, a human outpost detected the energy surge. A technician stared at the screen, confused. "Command! We've got a reading, bioenergy wave, class unknown. Origin point, grid 947. The officer leaned over. "That's impossible. That sector's abandoned." "Not anymore, sir," the technician said. "Something alive is there." The officer frowned. "Send a scout team. Now." Back in the greenhouse, Lyra wiped her eyes. The light outside was fading again. She looked at Ari's still body, then at the fruit surrounding them, golden, glowing softly. She touched one and felt warmth. Life. Her sister's life. The realization hit her. Ari's energy had gone into the plants, into the ground. Maybe not all of her was gone. Lyra gathered a few fruits and pressed one to Ari's lips. "Please, if there's even a chance," she whispered. "You gave your life for this. Take some back." She squeezed the fruit gently, letting the glowing juice run down. Some of it touched Ari's skin, and to Lyra's shock, the faintest light shimmered beneath it, barely visible, but there. Lyra gasped softly. "You're still here." She didn't know how much time she had. She just knew she needed to keep Ari safe. And hidden, she built a small shelter inside the greenhouse using old cloth and metal sheets. She laid Ari down gently, covering her with her own robe. Every few minutes, she fed her drops of fruit juice, praying it would be enough. As night fell, the stars came out, 2 moons, one silver, one red. The same sky they used to watch with their mother before everything fell apart. Lyra looked up and whispered, "I'll protect her. I swear it." But out beyond the dunes, lights were moving, bright, mechanical, and fast. The human scout ship glided silently above the sand, its searchlights sweeping across the terrain. Inside, 3 soldiers monitored their scanners, picking up radiation residue. One said, "This isn't from our tech." "Could be alien," the captain replied. "Stay alert." They landed near the greenhouse, their boots crunching against the sand. The leader, a tall man with a scar across his cheek, motioned toward the broken structure. "Scan it." A soft beeping sound filled the air. The soldier's visor glowed. "Sir, readings are off the charts. There's plant life inside and energy signatures. High concentration." The captain narrowed his eyes. "Anyone inside?" The soldier hesitated. "One life form. Faint, but definitely alive." The captain smirked. "Let's see what kind of alien survived this wasteland." Inside, Lyra heard the faint crunch of footsteps outside. She froze instantly. The sound was heavy, deliberate. Not wind, not drones. Humans. Her heart started racing. "They found us." She crawled toward the door and peeked through a crack in the wall. Outside, 3 figures in armor stood in the bright moonlight. They carried rifles and scanners that blinked red and green. One of them pointed directly at the greenhouse. "The source is in there." Lyra's breath caught in her throat. She looked back at Ari, still unconscious on the blanket. "I can't let them take you," she whispered. "Not again." She picked up a piece of broken metal, sharp enough to cut, not to fight. She wasn't a warrior. She was just a sister. The door creaked as the soldiers approached. Lyra crouched behind a pile of old crates, holding her breath. The captain spoke first. "Hello." His voice echoed inside. "We know someone's here. Come out." Lyra said nothing. The only sound was a faint hum of the glowing fruit. He stepped forward, shining a light across the plants. "Incredible," he muttered. "These are alien-grown. Bioreactive energy. Worth a fortune." The soldier behind him grinned. "We should take samples." Lyra gripped the metal shard tighter. "They'll destroy everything," she thought. "They'll take her." Her mind raced. She needed to distract them, or scare them off. But before she could move, a soft sound came from behind her. A voice. "Lyra." Ari's whisper. Lyra's eyes widened. She turned. Ari was awake. Weak but breathing. Her eyes glowed faintly again like tiny blue stars. Lyra's heart jumped with relief and fear. The captain heard it too. He turned toward the sound. "There's someone in here." Lyra lunged out from behind the crates, blocking their view. "Stop. Don't come any closer." The captain raised his weapon. "Alien!" "Step aside. She's just a child." Lyra shouted. "Leave her alone. She's the energy source." The man said coldly, "Orders are to retrieve anything that glows." He motioned to his soldiers. "Take them both." Lyra's chest tightened. Her gaze darted toward her sister, then to the glowing fruit all around them. If Ari's power could make life, maybe it could protect life too. Lyra dropped to her knees beside her sister and whispered, "Ari, listen to me. Please, if you can hear me, use it again. Just once more." Ari's eyes fluttered open, faintly glowing. "It hurts." "I know, but you can do it," Lyra said, tears in her eyes. "You have to." The The soldiers moved closer. The air began to tremble. The plants around them started to move again, faster this time. Vines slithered up from the ground, wrapping around the soldiers' boots. The captain cursed and tried to pull away, but the vines tightened, glowing with blue light. What the? Lyra shielded Ari as the entire greenhouse filled with radiant energy. The walls vibrated. The air shone like liquid gold. Outside, the human ship's sensors went wild, picking up unstable power readings. And then, a blinding flash. When the light faded, the soldiers were gone. Only the empty greenhouse remained, silent once more. The plants still glowed, brighter than before. Ari had fainted again, her small body cold but breathing. Lyra looked at her with tears of relief. You saved us again. But far above, in orbit, human satellites had already detected the blast. Dozens of signals began to move toward the planet. Lyra didn't know it yet, but the humans were coming. And this time they wouldn't just send scouts. The world was quiet again. The air still shimmered with leftover light, and thin smoke drifted from the cracked walls of the greenhouse. The scent of earth and glowing fruit mixed together, sweet and metallic. Lyra sat on the dirt, holding Ari close. The child was alive, but her body was weak, cold like stone. Lyra brushed a strand of silver hair from her sister's face. You did it again, she whispered softly. You saved us. Ari's eyes fluttered. They were bad men. Yes, Lyra said, her voice trembling. And more are coming. She looked up through the broken roof. The night sky was full of stars, but one of them was moving, then another, and another. Tiny points of light descending from orbit like falling stars. Human ships. Lyra's chest tightened. They found us, she said under her breath. We have to go. She wrapped Ari in a cloth blanket, tied it tightly to her chest, and grabbed a small satchel of glowing fruit. Her legs trembled as she stood. She had barely eaten in days, but there was no time for weakness. As she stepped outside, the wind carried a faint echo of engines, low, distant, but growing louder every second. They walked through the desert under the pale moons. Sand crunched underfoot, and Ari's breathing was shallow but steady. The light from the greenhouse grew smaller behind them, until it was only a faint dot on the horizon. Lyra moved fast despite her exhaustion. She knew these lands, the ruins, the cliffs, the places humans didn't dare go because of radiation or storms. Somewhere in there, she could hide, but she also knew something else. Humans didn't stop. Once they found something powerful, they kept coming until they owned it. Ari stirred in her arms. Lyra, why do they want us? Lyra hesitated. Because they're afraid, she said quietly. Afraid of what they don't understand. Are we bad? Ari asked. Lyra's throat tightened. No, little star. We're just different. Hours passed. Dawn began to rise, painting the sky in gold and pink. But the peace didn't last. From far behind, Lyra saw dark dots moving across the desert. Vehicles, armored, leaving trails of dust. They were searching, hunting. Her heart pounded. She turned sharply and ran toward the cliffs ahead, sharp rocks and shadowed caves. The air there shimmered with strained blue fog, leftovers from old alien energy. It was dangerous, but safer than being caught. By the time she reached the entrance, her legs were shaking. She ducked inside a narrow cave, panting heavily. The sound of the engines was louder now, echoing through the stone. Ari looked up weakly. They're coming, aren't they? Lyra nodded, brushing her sister's cheek. Yes, but I won't let them hurt you. She laid Ari down on a flat stone and took a deep breath. The cave was dark, except for the faint glow from the fruit. She took one out, cut it open with a shard of glass, and gave her sister a few drops of the juice. The glow in Ari's skin returned slightly. Her eyes fluttered open again, faintly blue. Thank you. Lyra smiled weakly. Just rest. I'll watch. She stood at the cave entrance, eyes narrowed against the rising sunlight. The human ships were landing now, sleek metallic craft scattering dust clouds as they touched down near the greenhouse. Even from far away, she could see their uniforms glinting. Then she saw him, the man with the scar, the captain from before. He was still alive, He stepped out of the ship, looking furious but determined. "Sweep the area," he shouted. "That blast came from here. Find the source." Dozens of soldiers moved out in formation. Drones hovered above them, scanning the sand. Lyra backed deeper into the cave, her pulse racing. She could feel the fear crawling up her spine. Then she heard something new, a sound like a faint hum coming from deeper inside the cavern. She turned around slowly. At the back of the cave, half buried under rubble, something glowed faintly, metallic, old and massive. It looked like part of a crashed alien ship, long forgotten. Strange symbols shimmered faintly on its surface. Lyra's eyes widened. A ship? She approached carefully, her hand brushing the metal. The surface was cold, but it pulsed faintly under her touch. A pattern of light spread across it, like veins awakening. A soft female voice echoed in her mind. Energy detected. Biological signature confirmed. Alarians. Lyra froze. "You know us." "Last survivors," the voice replied. "Signal incomplete. System dormant. Requires power." Lyra's eyes widened as she looked back at Ari, glowing faintly, radiating the same energy. The ship recognized her. It was alien like them. Her heart pounded. "If I give you power," she whispered, "can you protect us?" "Power required," the voice repeated softly. "Warning. Transfer may cause harm to the source." Lyra clenched her fists. No, not again. She's already given too much. But outside, she heard the humans shouting again, closer this time. Sand shifted near the cave entrance. A soldier's voice echoed through the rocks. "Tracks lead here, sir." Lyra turned to Ari, panic flooding her chest. The girl was barely conscious, her face pale. She ran back and knelt beside her. "Ari, I need you to stay awake." Ari blinked slowly. "Are they here?" "Yes," Lyra whispered. "They found us again. But I found something too. A ship. Our people's ship." The girl smiled weakly. "Mama always said the stars would call us home." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "They still can. But I need your help one last time." Ari looked at her sister for a long moment, then nodded faintly. "Okay." Lyra lifted her in her arms and carried her toward the glowing hull. "Please," she begged the ship. "If I connect her, can you protect her?" "Affirmative," the voice said softly. "Initiating interface." Ari reached out her trembling hand and touched the metal. The lights flared to life, running through the walls and ceiling like lightning veins. The entire cavern shook. Outside, the soldiers stopped in confusion. "What the hell is that?" one shouted. Inside, Lyra shielded her face from the blinding light. Ari's glow grew stronger, her hair floating, her eyes bright as stars. Energy poured from her into the ship. The voice spoke again. Power restored. Shield activation in progress. A wave of blue energy burst outward from the cave mouth, throwing the humans back and knocking their scanners offline. Their comms crackled with static. "What just happened?" the captain yelled, grabbing his helmet. One of the soldiers pointed to the cliffs. "The cave, sir. There's something inside, something huge." The captain gritted his teeth. "Then we go in." Inside, Lyra stared in awe as the old ship's engines came to life, humming softly. The air shimmered with energy. She turned to Ari. Her sister's glow was fading again, her body slumping forward. "No, no, no," Lyra whispered, catching her. "You can't go yet." Ari's eyes opened weakly. "It's okay, Lyra. The stars are calling." Lyra shook her head. "No, not like this." But the ship's systems were already rising. The voice spoke again, calm and emotionless. Energy level stable. Defense barrier active. Flight systems awakening. And as the humans prepared their attack outside, the cliffs began to tremble. Rocks cracked. The ancient alien ship, once buried, started to rise. The ground trembled as the alien ship began to rise. Rocks split apart, and clouds of dust spiraled into the air. The cliffs groaned like something ancient awakening after 1,000 years of sleep. Lyra shielded Ari in her arms, her hair whipping in the wind as the cave around them came alive with light. The ship's metallic walls unfolded like the petals of flower, glowing lines tracing across the dark surface. Strange blue energy pulsed through every corner. Lyra could feel it, the same kind of life energy that flowed through her sister. "System reboot complete," said the calm female voice echoing through the cavern. "Alarian signatures confirmed. Ship identity, Solarin." Lyra stared in awe. "Solarin," she repeated softly. It was the name of one of the last great star vessels of their people, the ones who left before the wars destroyed everything. She looked down at Ari, whose small hand still touched the glowing hull. Her body shimmered faintly, the energy fading with every second. "You did it, little star," Lyra whispered. "You woke it up." Outside, the human soldiers had regrouped. The captain stood with his helmet under his arm, staring at the cliffs as the ground continued to shake. A blue light illuminated the rocks like lightning trapped inside the earth. "Report," he barked. "Massive energy buildup, sir," one soldier replied, staring at his scanner. "Sources, it's enormous. Some kind of alien ship." The captain cursed under his breath. "I knew it. The girl wasn't the source. She was the key." He turned toward his dropship. "Tell command we found a Class Omega artifact. Authorization to engage full strike mode." The soldier hesitated. "Sir, that much energy." "Just do it," the captain snapped. The soldiers scattered to prepare. A swarm of drones lifted off, forming a wide attack formation, the sky filled with the hum of engines and the metallic glint of weapons locking into place. Inside the rising cave, Lyra could hear the faint rumble of human ships above. She looked around desperately. "Can this ship fly?" she asked aloud. "Engines damaged," the voice replied. "Full launch sequence impossible. Partial lift available. Defensive systems active." Lyra clenched her fists. "Then protect us." "Protect her?" The walls of the ship pulsed brighter. Blue light expanded outward in a wave that swept across the rocks. Outside, the human scanners went wild. "Sir, an energy barrier just appeared around the cliffs," a soldier shouted. "We can't get through." The captain narrowed his eyes. "Then we'll burn through it." He raised his arm. All drones fire. Dozens of missiles streaked toward the cliffs, exploding against the barrier in blinding flashes. The ground shook violently, but the shield held, rippling like water, absorbing the blast. Inside, the noise was deafening. Lyra covered Ari's ears as debris fell around them. It's okay," she whispered, even though her own hands were trembling. Ari's weak voice broke through chaos. "Lyra, are they still here?" "Yes," she said softly. "But they won't win." The ship's voice interrupted. "Warning, power levels dropping. Shield at 68%. Lyra bit her lip. "There has to be a way to fight back." "Defense weaponry offline. Only one system remains operational, the heart reactor." "What does it do?" Lyra asked quickly. "It channels Alarian life energy to project force. But the energy source must be biological." Lyra's heart sank. She knew what that meant. "It needs her," she whispered. Ari looked up weakly, her glowing eyes meeting Lyra's. "It wants my power." "No," Lyra said firmly. "You've already given enough." "But if I don't—" Ari's voice was soft, trembling. "They'll hurt you. They'll take the ship. Everything will die again." Lyra shook her head. "I won't let you die for me. Not again." Ari smiled faintly. "You always protected me. Lyra, let me protect you this time." Lyra's chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to stop this madness, but the ground shook again. The barrier flickered. The explosions outside were getting stronger. "Shield at 42%, the ship warned. The captain's voice crackled through their comms. "This is your last chance, alien. Surrender or we destroy everything." Lyra looked down at her sister. Her eyes were clear now, glowing bright blue, calm and full of love. "It's okay," Ari whispered. "You once said stars are never truly gone. They just move to a different sky." Tears streamed down Lyra's face. "Please don't leave me." Ari's small hand pressed against Lyra's cheek. "You'll see me again, in the light." Then she turned toward the ship's core, a glowing sphere of pure energy, and laid her hand on it. The entire cavern erupted in light. The hum grew louder, rising into a roar that echoed for miles. Blue fire spiraled through the ship's structure, flowing into the walls, the shield, the air itself. Lyra fell to her knees, shielding her eyes from the brightness. Outside, the soldiers stopped firing. "What's happening?" one shouted. The captain looked up, eyes wide. The cliffs were glowing, every rock, every grain of sand shining like a sun about to burst. "Fall back," he yelled. But it was too late. A pulse of energy exploded outward, silent and massive. It swept across the desert like a wave, throwing ships into the air, disabling drones and short-circuiting every weapon. The humans were thrown to the ground as the blue light expanded across the sky. Beautiful, terrifying, unstoppable. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent. Lyra opened her eyes slowly. The noise was gone. The shaking had stopped. She looked around. The cave was still glowing softly, but the ship was quiet. The air was warm and calm. She turned quickly toward the reactor. Ari lay beside it, motionless. Lyra crawled to her, her heart breaking. "No, please, not again." She lifted her sister into her arms, pressing her face against her hair. Ari's skin was cool but peaceful, no pain, no fear. A faint blue mark glowed on her chest, like a star. Lyra sobbed softly. "You did it. You saved us." The ship's voice spoke one last time. Power stable. Defense systems complete. Elarian energy preserved. Then silence. Lyra looked at her sister's face, calm, serene, almost smiling. "You're part of it now, aren't you?" she whispered. "The ship, the world, you're still here." She looked up at the cave, ceiling where the light shimmered like sunlight through water. And for a brief moment, she could almost see Ari's shape in the glow, watching her. Outside, the human survivors slowly got to their feet. The captain stared at the cliffs, his armor scorched, his visor cracked. "Report," he said weakly. One soldier shook his head. "All systems offline, sir. Everything. The blast didn't kill us. It purified the air. The sand is green again." The captain turned. In the distance, tiny shoots of grass were breaking through the desert floor, glowing softly in the dawn. He frowned. What the hell did she do? Inside the ship, Lyra stood alone beside her sister's body. The ship was alive now, breathing, humming gently like a heart. Outside, the sky was turning bright gold. The desert that had once been dead was now full of light. Lyra pressed her forehead against Ari's. "You gave them life again," she whispered, "and you gave me a reason to keep going." She looked up at the glowing panels. "If this ship can fly, take me where she wanted to go. Take me to the stars." "Coordinates received," said the ship's voice softly. The floor rumbled. Light poured from the cracks as the ancient vessel began to rise. Lyra held her sister close as the ship broke through the surface, emerging into the morning sky. The humans watched from below, awestruck, as the massive alien craft rose higher and higher, leaving a trail of blue light across the horizon. The alien ship Solaran drifted through the upper layers of the planet's sky, its blue light reflecting across clouds and sunlight. The air burned away behind it as it rose higher, breaking free into the dark, endless silence of space. Inside the ship, Lyra sat quietly near a clear window of smooth alien glass. She was holding Ari's body in her arms, wrapped in a soft silver cloth. Her eyes were red from crying, but she had no more tears left. The ship hummed softly around her, as if breathing, alive, but not human. Outside, the planet below was beautiful, glowing with blue and gold light. Once dry and dead, it was now full of green again. The desert had changed. The air shimmered with new life. Ari's gift had brought everything back. Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. "You did it, little star. You made it beautiful again." The ship's voice responded softly, echoing through the air. Planetary restoration complete. Energy stabilized. Lyra looked up slowly. "You can hear me, can't you? You were part of her." The voice paused. "Correction. I am Solaran, the last ship of the Elarian fleet." "I know," Lyra said quietly, "but you sound like her." The voice was calm, but there was something different now, a faint warmth that hadn't been there before. Ari's life energy was absorbed into the core. Her biological data remains active within my system. Lyra's breath caught. What do you mean? She's alive? Her body is gone, the voice said softly, but her consciousness remains. Fragments of her energy are now part of this vessel. Lyra stood quickly, her heart pounding. Ari, can you hear me? There was silence for a moment. Then, faintly, a small, gentle sound filled the air. Lyra froze. It was soft, distant, but it was her voice. Ari, she whispered, her hands trembling. Is that really you? Yes, the voice said, fragile and echoing through the walls. It's me. I'm here. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She placed her hand on the glowing wall beside her. I thought I lost you. You didn't. Ari's voice said, I'm still with you. I can see everything, the stars, the ship, you. Lyra smiled weakly, tears falling freely now. You're part of the stars now, aren't you? Yes, Ari replied softly. I'm everywhere. I can feel the light. I can feel home. The ship continued its journey, passing through the dark edges of the planet's orbit. Lyra sat quietly, watching streaks of silver light from distant stars slide past. After some time, she spoke again. Ari, do you remember what Mother used to say? Ari's voice replied, faint but clear, that the stars are just old souls watching us from far away. Lyra smiled sadly. You sound just like her. The air grew quiet again, peaceful. The hum of the ship blended with Ari's faint presence, almost like she was humming softly with it. It was comforting and heartbreaking. Then the ship's tone changed slightly. Warning. The voice said, incoming transmission. Source, human fleet. Lyra tensed instantly. They followed us. Affirmative. Multiple ships approaching from orbit. Weapons locked. Lyra's heart sank. Of course they did. The holographic screen flickered to life in front of her. The same human captain appeared, the one with the scar, his face stern and determined. His ship floated not far away, surrounded by smaller crafts. Unknown alien vessel. His voice came through, deep and harsh. You're ordered to stand down and surrender control. If you resist, we will open fire. Lyra glared at the image. You destroyed our world. You chased us, attacked us, and now you want us too? The captain's eyes narrowed. That power you unleashed nearly destroyed everything in its range. We can't let that kind of energy roam free. It saved the planet, Lyra said sharply. It brought life back. Or maybe it's a weapon, he replied coldly. You think we can take that risk? Ari's voice whispered faintly through the speakers. Lyra, don't let them take me. Lyra, clench your fists. I won't. The ship's voice spoke again. Shields ready. Energy charge at 60%. Lyra took a deep breath. Ari, can you control the ship? Yes, but I'm still weak, the child's voice said softly. If I fight, I'll fade faster. Lyra shook her head. No, don't push yourself. But the human fleet was already moving, missiles armed, engines glowing bright red. The captain gave the order. Fire! Dozens of blasts streaked through space, cutting through the void toward the glowing alien ship. Lyra felt the deck shake under her feet as the first impact struck the shields. Sparks lit up around her. Ari, she shouted. I've got it, the voice said, faint but steady. The ship's outer ring glowed bright blue. Energy flowed outward like waves, catching the incoming missiles mid-space and bending them. One by one, the weapons turned around and exploded against their own fleet. The humans shouted in panic over the comms. They're redirecting the shots. The captain slammed his fist on the console. Increase power. Take it down. But before he could react, the Solaran released a pulse. Not to destroy, but to disarm. Blue light spread through space like ripples in water, freezing the human ships in place. Their engines went cold. Their weapons powered off. Total silence followed. Inside the cockpit, Lyra looked around in disbelief. What happened? Ari's voice was soft and tired. I stopped them. Lyra's heart ached. You're fading, aren't you? A long pause. It's okay. I want to rest. I've done my part. Lyra shook her head. No, please. Stay with me. You'll never be alone, Ari whispered. I'm part of the stars now. Every light you see out there, that's where I'll be. Her voice grew fainter. Keep going, Lyra. There are more worlds like ours. More people who need life again. You can save them. You're strong enough. The ship's lights dimmed slightly, like the fading of a heartbeat. Lyra pressed her hand to the wall. Ari, silence. Then the soft hum of the ship returned, peaceful, steady. The stars shone brighter outside, their light reflecting in Lyra's tear-filled eyes. Hours later, she stood at the front of the ship, staring out at the galaxy. Planets, nebulas, and ancient ruins of long-forgotten civilizations passed by. She whispered, "You're still here, little star. I can feel you." The ship's systems pulsed softly, like a heartbeat responding to her words. And far away, in the distance, a star twinkled brighter than the rest, as if winking back. Weeks passed in silence. The alien ship's Solaran drifted through the endless void, glowing faintly with a soft blue light. Inside, Lyra sat in the pilot's seat, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead. She had not spoken in days. The silence of space fell heavy, pressing down on her chest like a weight that refused to lift. Ari's voice no longer echoed through the ship, but sometimes when the engines hummed quietly, Lyra could almost feel her, like a faint warmth in the walls or a small vibration in the glass. A whisper that said, "I'm still here." She lived for that feeling. Every time it faded, she whispered softly, "I'm not giving up, little star. Not ever." The first planet. One day, the ship's sensors beeped softly. Habitable planet detected. Life signs faint. Lyra looked up, startled. Life? Show me. A small hologram appeared. A dusty red planet with swirling clouds. The readings showed dying vegetation, weak oxygen, and scattered heat sources. It reminded her too much of home before it died. Her eyes narrowed. Then that's where I'm going. The Solaran entered the planet's atmosphere, cutting through golden clouds before landing gently on a barren field. The sky was dim and pale orange, the wind dry and cold. Broken ruins stretched across the horizon, the remains of a once-living world. Lyra stepped out, wearing a thin protective suit. The ground crunched beneath her boots. Every step echoed in the silence. And then she saw them, the locals. They were humanoid but taller, their skin a shade of deep violet, their eyes reflecting light, like liquid gold. They looked weak, tired, and afraid. Children hid behind old stone walls. Adults stood cautiously, holding long sticks that were once tools, now weapons. Lyra raised her hand slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you." Their leader, an older man with silver markings on his skin, stepped forward. "What are you?" he asked in a low, raspy voice. "We've seen your kind before. They take. They burn. They leave." "I'm not like them," Lyra said softly. "I came to help." The man frowned. "Help? Our son is dying. Our crops are ash. What help could you bring?" Lyra looked down, remembering Ari's sacrifice, the light that spread across the desert, turning dust into life. Her heart ached. "I lost someone," she said quietly. "She gave her life to bring life back to my world. I think I can do the same." The power of the stars. She returned to the ship and placed her hands on the glowing control core. "Ari," she whispered, "show me how you did it." For a moment, there was silence. Then, faintly, she heard a whisper, warm and familiar. "Close your eyes, Lyra. Feel the light." Her breath caught. "Ari." The voice was soft, like a breeze through the stars. "You still carry my energy. The light is in you now." Tears welled in her eyes. "Then help me save them." The Solaran began to hum. Its light brightened until the air shimmered. Lyra stepped outside again, walking to the edge of the dead fields. The locals watched silently, uncertain if the strange alien was a savior or a curse. She knelt and pressed her palm into the dry soil. A gentle glow spread from her fingertips, at first faint, then stronger. The ground vibrated. Cracks filled with golden light. Moments later, tiny green shoots broke through the dust. The people gasped. Within seconds, the dry land was covered in glowing moss and blooming flowers that shimmered under the red sun. The air grew warmer. The dying wind turned into a soft breeze that smelled of life. The elder fell to his knees, tears glistening in his golden eyes. By the star she brings life. Lyra smiled faintly, though her body trembled. The energy drained her quickly. She felt weak, but it was worth it. She whispered softly, "Ari, we did it!" The faint voice in her head replied, "You did it, sister." A new name. In the following days, the people of that world built shelters around the landing site. They brought her food, water, and warmth. Children followed her everywhere, calling her the Star Healer. Lyra spent her days teaching them how to grow again, how to use light and soil together to rebuild. At night, she stood under the stars, staring at the brightest one she could find, the one that felt like Ari. "Another world saved," she said softly. "That's for you, little star." But peace never lasted long in the galaxy. The shadow and the stars. One night, as the sky shimmered with alien auroras, Sovereign's alarm broke the silence. Alert! Multiple energy signatures approaching. Unknown ships detected. Lyra's heart sank. Humans? She ran inside and checked the scanner. Several human warships were entering orbit. The same fleet that had once attacked her was back, stronger, faster, and ready. "They found me," she whispered. Ari's voice echoed faintly through the system. "You have to leave." "I can't," Lyra said firmly. "These people need me." The ground shook as a human missile streaked through the sky, striking near the edge of the settlement. Dust and fire erupted. The locals screamed and ran for cover. Lyra clenched her fists, anger burning in her chest. Enough. She ran to the ship and activated the defense systems. The sky filled with bright blue shields, protecting the village below. Human ships fired again, but the blast sped away, absorbed by the energy field. Then a voice crackled through the communicator, the same human captain. "You again," he said coldly. "Still spreading your alien infection across the stars?" Lyra's voice trembled with anger. "You call life an infection? You're manipulating worlds," he said. "You're changing ecosystems we don't understand. You're dangerous." She glared at the screen. "Dangerous? You destroyed worlds. I'm saving them." The humans launched more missiles. Lyra's energy shield flickered. She was exhausted. Her connection to the ship weakened without Ari's full strength. "Ari," she whispered, "I need you." The voice answered faintly, barely a whisper now. "I'm here always." Light burst from the ship again, brighter than before. The humans tried to resist, but their systems failed. One by one, their engines shut down, their weapons powered off. The battle ended not in fire, but in silence. As the ships floated helplessly in orbit, Lyra stood on the planet's surface, wind blowing through her silver hair. The villagers gathered behind her, staring at the blue sky. The elder spoke quietly. "You saved us again, Star Healer." Lyra looked up at the stars, her eyes reflecting their light. "No," she said softly. "She saved us." Far above, a single star flickered brighter, just like before. Lyra smiled faintly. "That's her." The stars above the red planet shimmered, like diamonds scattered across the dark. Lyra stood silently on the soft, glowing soil, her eyes fixed on the horizon where the human fleet hovered like dark scars against the sky. The villagers stayed behind her, frightened but trusting. They had seen her bring life to their dying world. They had seen her protect them from death. And now, they looked to her like she was something more than just an alien, something divine. But Lyra didn't feel like a god. She felt tired, empty, lonely, and deep inside her heart, she missed Ari more than words could describe. The human ships began to move again. Communication screens lit up around her. The human captain, the same man with a scar across his face, appeared in front of her, his expression unreadable. "Alien vessel," he said coldly. "Stand down. You violated every border in the quadrant." Lyra's voice was calm, but there was fire in her eyes. "I'm not your enemy. You've interfered with natural evolution," he snapped. "You've altered entire ecosystems. You're playing with forces you don't understand." She stepped closer to the hologram, her tone steady. I understand enough. I've seen your wars. I've seen your greed. You destroy what you can't control, and you fear what you can't explain. The captain's jaw tightened. We don't fear you. Yes, you do, Lyra said softly. You fear kindness that doesn't come from power. A pause followed. The silence between them was thick and cold. Then the captain's voice softened slightly. We scanned your ship. There's a strange energy inside. Something alive. Lyra's breath caught. That's not a weapon. He frowned. Then what is it? She smiled faintly. It's my sister. The captain blinked, confused. Your sister? Yes, Lyra said quietly. She gave her life to save a dying world. Her energy became part of the ship, and now she lives among the stars. For the first time, the captain's voice lost its edge. That's impossible. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly, tears shimmering. You humans always say that before the impossible saves you. Suddenly, the ground shook. A massive explosion lit up the sky, not from the human fleet, but from above them. A new ship, larger and darker than anything either side had seen before, descended to the clouds of space. Its hull was jagged, its engines pulsing red like a heartbeat of fire. The human captain's face went pale. No, that's not one of ours. Lyra turned toward the sky. Then who? Energy readings unstable. Solarin's voice warned. Origin unknown. Weapon systems online. Missiles began to rain down, not at Lyra, not at the humans, but at everyone. The ground split open as shock waves tore through the atmosphere. Buildings crumbled. The villagers screamed. The human ship scattered in panic. Lyra shouted, Ari, shields now. The ship's core glowed brightly. A shimmering blue dome spread across the planet, absorbing the first wave of fire. But the second hit was stronger. It cracked the shield like glass. Lyra fell to her knees. Ari, hold on. A faint voice replied, weak but familiar. Lyra, I can't hold it much longer. Lyra, clench your fists. Don't you dare give up on me now. I'm not giving up, Ari whispered. I'm giving you my light. The ship's energy core began to rise from the ground, hovering in front of Lyra. It pulsed like a living heart, glowing brighter every second. Lyra's eyes widened. Ari, what are you doing? Her sister's voice was fading. There's enough power left for one last burst, but it'll take everything I have. No! Lyra cried. You already gave me your life once. I can't lose you again. Ari's voice trembled, gentle and calm. You won't lose me. I'll just become light. The core exploded into a storm of energy, white, gold, and blue, spreading across the sky like the birth of a new sun. It rushed upward, wrapping around the enemy warship above. The blast was silent. When it cleared, the dark ship was gone. Only fragments of molten metal drifted in orbit. The light faded slowly, leaving the sky quiet and peaceful again. Lyra fell to ground, exhausted. Her hands trembled. Her heart ached. Ari, she whispered weakly. Ari, please, answer me. The ship was silent. No hum, no whisper, nothing. For a moment, everything around her stood still, the wind, the voices, even time itself. Then a soft, gentle breeze touched her face. In it, she heard a faint echo, barely a whisper. I told you, I'd be everywhere. Lyra smiled through her tears. I know, little star, she whispered. I know. The dawn of peace. When the dust finally settled, the human captain landed on the surface. He walked toward her slowly, his weapon lowered. The surviving villagers watched from afar, afraid but hopeful. He stopped a few feet away. His voice was quiet. You saved us, all of us. Lyra didn't look up. She did. The captain sighed. I misjudged you. You always do, Lyra said, finally meeting his eyes. You think power comes from destruction. But real power, she looked toward the sky where the light of her sister still shimmered, comes from sacrifice. He nodded slowly. Maybe you're right. The humans helped the villagers rebuild what was lost. For the first time, humans and aliens worked together, planting healing, rebuilding life instead of destroying it. Lyra guided them, her calm presence giving both sides hope. Over time, word spread to the galaxy of a woman who brought life to dying worlds, who glowed with the light of the stars, and who carried the spirit of her sister wherever she went. They called her the Star Healer. One night, after everyone had gone to rest, Lyra stood on the hill outside the settlement. The sky was alive with colors, red, gold, and blue swirling like paint across the heavens. She smiled softly. Another world safe. Another light in the dark. The ship hummed quietly beside her, as if breathing again. And from far away, among the brightest stars, a small voice whispered, "I'm proud of you, Lyra." Lyra looked up, eyes glistening. "I miss you, Ari." "I know," the voice said gently, "but you're never alone. Not while the stars shine." Lyra's smile grew through her tears. "Then I'll make sure they never fade." The camera pans upward, showing the night sky filled with thousands of glowing stars. One star shines brighter than all the rest, golden, warm, alive. And in that light, the faint shape of two sisters can almost be seen, hand in hand, watching over every world that still breathes.